It's time to review the winter season, so everyone hug it out and show some love. Smiles all around, as Joe and I always have fun. Red is truly the #1 fan. Sports Night is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sportsnight. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howie Shapiro, and we're going to wrap up the winter season.
Yeah, it was an eventful one. No state tournament runs like we were treated to last season, but a lot of fantastic things happened for Coon Rapids High School athletics over the course of the winter season, and it already feels like spring out. We've seen 75 degrees already. Baseball, softball, volleyball, boys volleyball, first time as varsity sport right around the corner.
Yeah, tryouts are already this week, so we're in the swing of things.
We start our review, though, with the last team to finish its season, the boys basketball team. Cardinals didn't have a magical run to state like they did last year, but there were some amazing individual achievements. In that respect, we were witness to one of the greatest seasons in school history. Everyone knew coming in that the season would be an uphill battle. The Cardinals lost a ton of talent from that section championship team, but the couple of pieces they brought back were pretty special. They struggled to find wins, but they battled hard every night, and they kept most games from getting out of hand. They finished 7-19 in the regular season and lost a quarterfinal game to Andover. Jackson Young and Tegan Plowman-Tate were great leaders all year, and by the end, they rewrote the record books. Young scored his 1,000th point in just the fourth game of the season, and in late January, he broke Tom Kopa's career scoring record that had stood since 1983. He broke his own single-season scoring record on February 15th, and less than a week later, he broke the single-game record, putting up 46 points in a loss to Champlin Park. It was TPT that had the last record-setting performance, though. He broke the mark for most 3 points made in a single season in the second-to-last game of the year. Plowman-Tate drained 91 from beyond the arc this season. Behind them were a number of complementary contributors. Unfortunately, many of them were also seniors. The Cardinals will have a few guys coming back. Kieran Wymore, Connor Young, and Cody DeGogo will be their most veteran returners. So there will be a lot of opportunity for guys to step up and take the reins. There are your seniors: Jackson Young, Tegan Plowman-Tate, Jeremy Oddie, Samson LeClaire, Sam Clevin, John Pintz, and Armando Henry, who unfortunately missed the whole year due to injury. But that's going to be a tough group to replace. We talked about all the records and what a season we were witness to. There are your new records for scoring: 1,618 points in a career, 727 this season, 46 in a single game. Oh, by the way, Jackson also finished fourth career in 475 rebounds. And Tegan Plowman-Tate, 3 points made in a single season, sets the bar high with 91.
You know, as exciting as last year's run to the state tournament was for the Cardinals, this was a special year as well because we were able to witness, scoring records. We were able to witness, both Jackson and TPT reach greater heights. Unfortunately, they're going to be missed because we lose a lot of talent in the boys basketball program.
And all of the size that they had in the middle. We did see a couple of guys with size get some time that will be back, but there will be some big shoes to fill all over the floor, no doubt.
No question. Well, the girls basketball team took big strides this season, and they're bringing everybody back. It should be interesting to see what this team can achieve next season. They had a number of different players step up at different times this year, and they showed steady progress throughout.
The Cardinals started the season with very little varsity experience. Still, they were confident they could pick up where they left off. After opening with 2 lopsided losses to conference opponents, they scored back-to-back wins over Cambridge Isani and section rival Big Lake to get back to 500. Unfortunately, they lost the next 3 and 8 of the next 9. They clearly struggled to keep pace with the more powerful teams in the Northwest Suburban. But even in their worst losses, this team never stopped competing. Their determination to continue to battle was more than admirable. It was inspiring. And they'll bring back all of that tenacity. The team's only senior, Maya Tengwall, was sidelined with an injury until the final home game of the regular season. and had only a handful of minutes at the end of the year. Meanwhile, they had 4 girls finish averaging better than 10 points per game. Aaliyah Graham, Callie McGrain, Jakaya Palmer, and Rochelle Cooper will give them a great foundation to start next season. And they had several others that contributed this year and will be a big part of building this team toward the future.
There it is, Maya Tengwall, the one and only, and I don't know that she broke 10 minutes. I would doubt she broke 10 minutes of playing time in the season. Unfortunately, she too was out for her entire senior season. She was on the bench the entire time. They said a huge positive influence on the bench, and then able to get in for senior night the last night at Roger E. Carlson. Got a little time also in the playoff game. But they've got a lot of girls back. A lot of girls who proved that they can play at this level. 4 girls averaging in double digits to end the season is huge for this program.
You know, the hustle from this program impressed me. You know, they didn't get the wins obviously they wanted. They didn't get the success that they wanted, but the fact that they've got everybody coming back, just basically except for Maya, is huge because they've gained that experience that they learned this year. They'll hopefully take that. They'll continue to work on their game and they'll take it over to next season. But I was happy for Maya that she was able to get in at the end of the year. Even if it was a few minutes, she was still able to get on the court.
100%. Well, the Cardinals wrestling squad is on an upswing, and they'll return a lot of talent that led to their success this season. Cardinals started with a stronger numbers than they've had in the past few years, and that definitely helped move them forward. Now they hope to continue that momentum. The Cardinals started with depth in every weight class, and that definitely was a factor in helping them get off to one of the fastest starts in team history. After an opening night loss to perennial power Anoka, the Cardinals reeled off 11 straight victories. That included a 5-match sweep at the St. Agnes Invitational and their first win over a top 10 team since 2021. They finished with 16 wins, their most in the last couple of seasons, and finished 6-6 against conference teams. They scored their first section tournament win in 5 years, beating Champlin Park before losing to top-seeded Anoka in the quarterfinal. There were some major milestones achieved this season. On the girls' side, they competed as a team in a duel for the first time, and Madison Marquise and Jacqueline Shear both won their brackets at the Eastview Invite. Shear finished with 18 wins this season. The Cardinals' season ended with a couple of their captains in the state tournament. Early in the season, junior Jack Bridenstine became just the 20th wrestler in school history to reach 100 wins, and in mid-January, he scored his 75th career pin. Bridenstine won his second section championship and qualified for state for the 3rd year in a row. Once there, he had his best showing, finishing 5th. He chalked up a crazy 48-7 record this season. Fellow captain Hayden Skillings also hit the 100 mark this season, that one coming on senior night against Centennial. The 3-year captain and 4-year heavyweight starter took the section crown to qualify for his first state tournament berth. He went 2-2 at the big dance and finished in the top 8 at state. Skillings will be their most notable loss, just as Bridenstine will be their most valuable veteran next season. But he won't be alone. The Cardinals' losses will be significant, but they have a lot of reason to be hopeful for the future. And there you see it, the 3 at the top, Gilbert Kostek, Tristan Hargrave, and Hayden Skillings, the regular varsity starters. The others pretty much on the JV squad, Alexander Golan, Salem Deban, Alan Sierra Lopez, Nolan Reif, and Colton Johnson. And I didn't get to see this name nearly enough. Ray Turgupolotova.
Love it.
And she had a really nice season. And the girls team, one of the best parts about this season is the growth of that program.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they continue to get better and get more and more girls. And I think they started with 8 or 9, finished with 6 or 7. So hoping they can continue to grow that program.
Yeah, I know Coach Tronson has done a nice job of building this program up again and getting guys to participate and girls to participate.
The depth on the varsity is much stronger.
Yes, I know
means
he's
great
pretty
things.
excited for the next number of years to continue this program's growth. Well,
As we are.
yes, absolutely. Well, the Cardinals gymnastics squad is also trending in the right direction thanks to added numbers. For the first time in a few seasons, the Cardinals didn't need a last-minute recruiting push to save the team. They had enough girls sign up where they were ready to go day one.
The most encouraging part is that they're almost all underclassmen, including quite a few who are still in middle school. With just 2 seniors on the roster this season, and with them being deeper in the rotation, it means the Cardinals got a ton of experience this year that will all be back. Callie Barker and Angel Marshall were the top 2 scorers in almost every event every night, and they will both be back to lead the team as seniors next year. The Cardinals didn't score a win this year, falling just a half-point shy against Park Center in mid-January. They finished second at the Moorhead Invite, posting their best score of the year with a 119.95, just shy of their 120 goal. As they battled with injuries and illnesses, especially later in the year, it meant even more girls were forced to step up into bigger roles. And according to Coach Habel, the results were encouraging across the board. And she expects them to be the strongest team in quite some time when they return to the gym in November.
Lainey Beamert and Kaylee Zalkowski. I'm sure those are both mispronounced, but really the core varsity is coming back. They had some girls down into the junior high levels, helping them improve their numbers. The more girls they can get to continue to build that program for years to come is great. But the fact that Callie Barker and Angel Marshall, their top 2 gymnasts, will be back as seniors next year, very encouraging.
Yeah, 2 points that encourage for me, obviously, is getting more athletes on the team, and the fact that Coach Habel is so excited for where this team is going to be and thinks that this may be the best team in a while, so coming back for next year. So that'll be fun.
Well, the swimming and diving teams have struggled with their numbers since even before the pandemic. Ever since they joined forces with Totino Grace, the boys team is still less than half the size of some of its conference opponents. But they made steady progress this season and finished with one of their own in the state meet. Cardinals came into the season with a handful of guys who were almost guaranteed points no matter what event you put them in. The depth is more important in swimming than it is in almost any other team sport. So having extra bodies in the pool gives larger teams a decided advantage. The Cardinals' gains this season would be easily overlooked by a casual fan. But for those watching the times more closely, almost every guy was getting faster almost every week. Jackson Ling was their leader all year long, and he finished as a section champion in the 500 freestyle. He almost qualified for state in the second event, finishing 3rd in the 200. He posted a personal record of 4 minutes 58 seconds at state and finished 21st overall in the 500 freestyle. He's one of 5 seniors this season, and they'll leave some huge holes behind. They will have a few guys coming back that have shown potential and have gained experience. But that's more than 20% of their total roster, and I would guess more than 50% of the team points this season. So they'll need the underclassmen to continue getting faster, and they'll need some more athletes in the pool to help them become more competitive in both the conference and the section. There you go, Jackson Lang, the state entrant, Ben Effiam, fellow captain, Luke Courier, Ty Koo, and Ben Wendling. Luke Courier competing in both swimming and diving. So those are going to be big holes to fill. You talk about, numbers for just about every program are starting to trend in the right direction. But when you lose 5 out of 20, it's impactful.
Well, especially those top 3, because they contributed mightily to the squad this year, and so hopefully that they can get an opportunity to get more athletes to come out next year and make that 20 grow to 25 or 30, which would be really nice.
Well, so let's start with replacing the 5 we lose.
Yeah. Okay. So the 15 to go to 20 to 25. I'll stay there. Well, it was another mild winter. I'm sorry. It was another mild winter in Minnesota, but the Nordic ski team was still able to make some great strides. They took advantage of what natural snow they could and did their best to get time on the local park trails with man-made snow. And at the end, they sent 5 athletes to the state meet, the most of any Coon Rapids winter sport.
It helps that they returned 2 of their 3 state entrants from last season, and both made a repeat appearance. The boys team had a little bit of an advantage when it came to total numbers, depth, and experience, but the girls have youth and talent, and their 2 fastest girls all year will be back for a couple more years at least. Freshman Bethany Law and sophomore Ruby Demmer were at the front of the pack for the Cards in every race. They finished 5th and 11th in the conference pursuit, respectively. And then they teamed up in sections and won the Sprint Relay Championship, advancing to state where they finished 5th. On the boys' side, seniors Lachlan Demmer and Albie Ludwig were at the state as a relay team last year, and they came in eager to return and improve. Ludwig missed a few races late in the season, but outside of that, they were at the front of the pack in most races. Demmer finished 2nd at the conference pursuit and then won the section title, finishing more than a minute ahead of 2nd place. He finished his career in 18th place at the state meet. Ludwig was able to return in time for sections, where he teamed up with junior Joshua Hyatt. They took 2nd place to get to state, but unfortunately couldn't get past qualifiers at the big dance. So both teams will have state entrants coming back, but there'll be big work to do to get where they want to be. We'll see if Mother Nature will cooperate a little more next year and make it easier to get more time on snow.
And there are your seniors for the boys, Lachlan Demmer and Albie Ludwig, both 2-time state entrants, Nick Ryland and Brody Falk. On the girls' side, Megan Fuller and Abby Peterson. Nice to have their top 2 back, though, for the girls, and it'll be interesting to see how far they can go. And I've got to imagine we don't see 3 winters in a row that are that dry in Minnesota.
You just don't know, obviously. But the boys losing those 2 top skiers is obviously a big replacements for the squad for coming back for next season.
Yep, there will be opportunity at the top, no doubt.
Yep.
Year 1 of the boys hockey co-op with Spring Lake Park was by most accounts a success. Now, what happens moving forward? I don't think there's any doubt that this year's squad did much better than either program would have been able to do alone. Unfortunately, it was a senior-dominated lineup, so they'll have a lot of work to do just to get back to this level. This SLPCR squad came together almost effortlessly from the very start. They had 4 captains, 2 from each school, that had combined for 177 points last year. So we knew they were going to be able to put points on the board. And they did that from the very start. They had 17 goals in their first 3 games. Unfortunately, they lost 2 of those 3. And that was the story throughout. They could score with anybody, but they struggled on the defensive end, especially against the deeper conference teams. A 3-game win streak in early January got them back to 500 at the midway point of the season. They finished 11-15 after a shutout loss to Maple Grove in the first round of the playoffs. This team was 0-3 in overtime, and overall, they were just a -2 for the season. Unfortunately, just too many close games going the other way. Still, their leaders lit up the scoreboard like a pinball machine. Teddy Wackman finished with a team-best 49 points. Jackson Engberg started the season with a 7-game goal streak and finished with a team-high 19. He had 32 points. Caden Alphin had 40 and Drew Lindquist had 38. That's 159 points from your 4 captains, and that is impressive. Unfortunately, they all move on, part of an 11-player senior class. Andrew Clark and Caden Lichter were 5th and 6th on the team with 28 and 24 points respectively, and they will be the team's top returners. They did get a handful of other underclassmen experience this season, but it'll be a hard act to follow as that group is moving on. There it is. That's a long list and some big names on the list. Dylan Bushy, Caden Alphin, Jackson Engberg, Noah Stout, Drew Lindquist, Landon Comer, Teddy Wackman, Caden Sukup, Brody Herzog, Carter Wolter and Brock Lewick, who played, I think, all but 2 games in Nets for him this season.
Yeah, I think
so. You lose 160 points in just your 4 captains. I did not total up the rest for the all 11 seniors, but those 4 guys combined for almost 430 career points. That's a lot to lose in just your top 4 scorers.
We talked about for melding 2 squads together, 2 schools together. Offensively, they came together really nicely. They struggled a little bit on defense, and I think he had a decent season in goal, but the guys behind him maybe struggled a little bit, or in front of him, struggled a little bit.
The exact same story of last year's Cardinal team, which was the best team Coon Rapids had seen in 20 years. They were one of the top scoring teams in the league,
absolutely.
But were barely over 500 most of the season because they gave up almost as many as they scored.
It'll be interesting with losing so many guys what happens next year and how they can replace some of that.
Yeah, and that's just not just the scoring, just the bodies in general. And both teams, both schools, struggling a little bit with numbers. So hopefully it will still be sustainable moving forward. Year 1, though, was a lot of fun, definitely.
It definitely was. Well, last and certainly not least, the girls hockey team had another really solid season and spent most of it ranked in the top 20. This squad has a top line that is good as just about any in the state, and they led a charge through a schedule that included some of the best non-conference teams in Minnesota.
CPCR fired out of the gates, winning 3 of their first 4 games, including a pair over section rivals. The only loss was to eventual state champion Gilmer. It helps when you return your top 3 scorers. It helps even more when they work so well together. Senior Lily McKenzie, junior Sydney Bernovic, and sophomore June Semling combined for 126 points last season. This year, they pushed it over 150. Semling became the first player in CPCR history to score 50 points in a season, finishing with 54. McKenzie and Bernovic both finished with 49 this season. McKenzie became the first player to reach 150 career points, finishing with 151. Bernovic crossed the century mark this season and has 120 with her senior year ahead of her. The goal for all programs is to play your best at the end. This squad went 8-2-1 to end their schedule. Both losses were to state tournament teams, and the one tied, they outshot Gentry 45-11, but ran into a hot goalie. For the 4th straight season, they scored a win in the section quarterfinal, beating Osseo Park Center 4-1. Unfortunately, for the 4th straight year, they lost to Maple Grove in the semis. The girls beat the Crimson for the first time ever when they met in late November. Unfortunately, they couldn't repeat the feat in the playoffs. Still, a lot to be proud of this year, and a lot to look forward to, considering the talent they'll be returning.
Yeah, another long list. Nola Milton, Evelyn Erzbo, Allie Paginen, Taylor Zaholka, Lily McKenzie, Kenna Schmidt, Isabel Roca, Grace Lund, Olivia Foth, and Maddie Wastrel. Maddie being their goaltender for, I think, the bulk of the last 3 seasons. So that's going to be tough. Lily finishes 151. For now, the program record.
It won't last long.
It's not going to last long.
It definitely won't.
June was all conference honorable, or all state honorable mention. All 3 of them were all conference, along with Zaholka and Milton. But yeah, she's got 115 points through just 2 seasons, and Sid is sitting at 120. You got one girl with 54 points, the other 2 with 49 each. Yeah. That's pretty solid, evenly distributed, great first line. They need more depth to be more competitive.
Yeah, Maddie obviously got the majority of the work in goal, but Grace also played well when she was in between
Maddie
the pipes.
So when Maddie was down.
I think replacing that goalkeeper is going to be interesting for them. I don't know who they have coming up that they'll be qualified like that, but I'm sure that Coach Gutty will find somebody to make sure. But this squad was a lot of fun to watch this year. I mean, we did a lot of their games quite obviously, and they were fun. They were really a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and I think. Lily will be tough to replace, but they have some girls I think that will fit in nicely with the other two that because those two play so well together, they've got other girls that can fill that hole.
Sure.
Again, we'll be developing a more dangerous second and even third line that will be the big question mark. And of course, as always, the stronger you can be on defense, the better chance you have to advance. And this team has, again, gotten to semifinals 4 straight times. We were there when they beat Maple Grove in the regular season. That was fun in overtime. But got to do it when the playoffs come around. And I think they've been there 4 straight years. I think next year they're going to be even more hungry to finally reach and maybe win a section championship.
Let's hope so. That would be great.
But that's it, Howie. That's the winter season.
Winter.
It is over. Spring has sprung at CTN. We have our first event of the season on the schedule for Monday the 31st. It is boys volleyball. Again, a varsity sport now. They host the Elk River Elks. We'll see the tennis team on Thursday the 3rd, weather permitting, of course. And the same goes for baseball on the 8th as the Cardinals welcome the Coons. But that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Night. We want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. To the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young, saying good night.